So I've created a few fingerpicking videos over the years, but they've all tended to focus on this same tremolo technique, which I think has given quite a distorted view of how I actually play the guitar, because probably for 98% of the time I'm not using this technique at all, I'm doing other things. So I thought what I should do is do another kind of an overview video, just covering a few of the different fingerpicking techniques that I use, including this one. But I'll not cover this in much detail because, like I say, I've covered it in other videos, so please check the links out in this video if you want to try it out. So let's start there anyway. So okay then, the tremolo technique that I've talked about a lot, and I'll put a link in this video, so go and check the other videos out if you really want to dig into this technique. But all I'm doing really is just thumb, third, second, first, over and over again. Okay, and then of course I can play a line, little 4-note line, same picking, and of course I can play any line really, so it doesn't have to be 4 notes, but I keep the picking exactly the same, so it's still thumb, third, second, first. So that's the tremolo technique. Now, I don't use a pick, as you can see, but that doesn't mean I don't use exactly the same techniques when I play the guitar as well. I've got no sort of philosophical aversion to using a pick at all. I do have them, I do have thumb picks as well, and I do use them. But it's just that I find if I play fingerstyle, if I don't hold a pick, then my hand's free to do so many other things. So, for example, let me demonstrate how I do exactly the same techniques as you would with a pick. So all I do is I hold my index finger and thumb together like that, as though I was holding a pick, but instead of using the pick, I use my index fingernail. Now I'd do this even if I didn't have nails, and obviously you get a different sound because you're using the fleshy part of your index finger, but the technique's just the same. And you can do things like hybrid picking, just like you could with a pick, and you can do string muting, or I don't know, harmonics. So all of the techniques that you've got available to you, if you've got a pick, you can do exactly the same way, but just using your index finger instead. Okay, so that's how I'd go about doing the same techniques as you'd use a pick for. Now, traditional fingerstyle techniques I tend not to use so much on the electric guitar, just because your hand tends to be that much further away, and when you're playing a volume and you've got that chance of distortion, you need your hand nice and close to the strings to really control them. But I will do, you know, if I'm playing a clean line like this, I'll use standard fingerpicking techniques. Otherwise, I may have my hand very close and I'll use my thumb, index and middle finger like that. Now there is a classical technique that I do use a lot as well. It's called appaiando. Let me zoom in and I'll show you what that is. Okay, so the basic appaiando technique is this. You play the note and you come to rest on the string below, which is why it's called a rest stroke as well. And it's got a couple of things going for it. One is because it's falling on the string below, it's controlling that string, so it's managing string noise. And also you can experiment with textures with this. It's got quite a nice little bell-like tone. Which is why I like to do it. You can also dig in with it as well. Yeah. And also, as well as plucking the string, you can flick your finger away, so you can play the note and flick out. Yeah. Okay, so that's appuyando or rest stroke, and I'll use that an awful lot, and I'll use that in conjunction with holding my hand as though I was holding a pick as well, because they give me a series of different textures, as you can probably hear when I show you that. Now, there's another technique I use as well, which is basically just hitting the strings, and I'll do that even more when I'm playing with distortion as well. So let me demonstrate that one. So the idea here is to just hit the strings, really. Hit the strings in the vague area that you want the string to sound, like that. So I'm just belting the strings with this hand, and I'm controlling string noise with this hand and with the thumb of this hand. So you can see how my thumb's landing on there. It's an imprecise technique, but that's why I like it. It's adding that texture. I use it less often on a clean guitar like this, but with a distorted guitar. You can see that different kind of a sound which you're looking for on a distorted guitar. Okay, so that concept of texture, which I'm trying to show throughout all of this, is really important to me. I find especially on the electric guitar, especially when you start turning up the distortion, you lose the dynamic range, you lose volume as a way of managing contrast between what you play. And so you have to find different ways of putting musical gestures in, putting texture in your music so you can inject emotion into what you're playing as well. And I find that really important to me. And I'm the kind of person actually who, you know, when my favourite kinds of portraits are the ones which are painted in really thick oils, where the oil paint is almost a sculpture in its own right. And for me, playing and using these kinds of picking techniques is a way of injecting that texture, musical texture, into what I'm playing as well, and that's really important to me, and that's another reason why I play fingerstyle. So hopefully that's given you a few ideas, a few directions that you can explore as well, and a few techniques for you to try. Anyway, we'll chat next time. Goodbye.